Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the Smart Talk Podcast. I am today's host, Alena Conley, and I am the head of learning and impact here at the Kyra Company. And I am joined today by Renée Lowe, one of our newest cohort members. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alena. Been looking forward to this.
Yes, me as well. So let's just kind of jump into a little bit of background about who you are and how you got started doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. So as Alena mentioned, my name is Renée Lowe. I am an attorney, an Air Force veteran, and the founder and managing attorney of Renée Lowe, PLLC. So after spending over 25 years and working across government agencies and large global corporations, I just kept seeing the same thing. And that was business owners that were building something and they just did not have the legal resources that these large corporations had. And so I built Renée Lowe PLLC to fix just that.
Wonderful. So, what was that transition like? Because I know we have a ton of small business owners who have a corporate experience and maybe they have a side hustle because, like you, they've seen a need, but they just haven't taken that leap. How did you decide to do it and what was it like for you?
I will tell you that while I was planning to leave corporate and start my own business, I had a little bit of a push. So I got laid off at the end of 2024. And it really turned out to be a blessing for me because when you're working in corporate and you're used to that paycheck, you get really comfortable. And I knew it was something I need to do, but I just did not have that extra push. And so when I got laid off, after the first 15 seconds, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the right time. And I really thought I was done with the practice of law. I had plans to start a completely different business. And I like to tell people that God had other plans for me. And so while I thought my legal career was over in this respect, that turned out not to be the case. And so while I was sitting in a webinar, because I was going to do an interior design business, that was my plan. I love interior design.
You tell me that.
Yes, that became my passion and my go-to when I was in corporate and how I decommitted. And I was listening to an attorney talk about how she serviced these clients. And I remember thinking, that's what I do. I can do that. And there were so many people on the call that were small business owners that needed those legal resources. And so that's how I decided to start my own practice. And one of the things that's unique about my practice is I do all business transactions, but on top of that, I also have an expertise in privacy and cybersecurity. So whenever I work with my clients, I help them to look at their business from a holistic perspective. Most people think, oh, maybe entity formation or contracts, but no, I'm trying to make sure that if you're collecting data, that you're also making sure you're complying with the laws that apply to you and your organization and the data, as well as making sure that your information, your client's information is secure.
So I'm curious to go back even further to thinking about when you decided that you wanted to pursue a law degree, right? Like, how did you get to that place?
When you grow up and people are telling you as much as you talk and to debate, you should become an attorney. And it's funny because that's really what people think attorneys are. And that's so not true. But that is actually the mindset that I had when I decided to go to law school. And I love helping people. And so my plan was I was going to help individuals in law school. When I got a degree, I was going to help people. That was what I wanted to do. And when I look back at my career, I did just the opposite. I started working for government agencies and big companies. And one of the really good things I love about my practice now is I get to go back to why I wanted to go to law school. And that was to help people. So I get to do what I'm doing right now. And it was no easy feat by any stretch of the imagination, but it was definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah. So when you say that's not at all what lawyers do, what do you feel like was the aha moment for you? Oh, this is a wider lens. I would love to get behind that curtain, because I tell my daughter all the time, you need to go into law because you want to debate everything. She hustled everybody around here from, I got a good grade, I learned the cartwheel, I need $5. So I'm like, what you gonna do with that?
Those skills are definitely, you definitely want those type of skills. But I think for me, the aha moment and when I realized that it wasn't what I was thinking was when I graduated and started practicing law. Because in my mind, all I knew was criminal law and I knew litigation. And so what did I do when I graduated? I became a litigator, and I learned really quickly, yeah, I don't like this. I did, even though people would always tell you you're good at arguing, I did not like the argument. I could not turn it off, right? I brought it home, and I learned really quickly everything is not an argument. There are different ways to how you can settle something. And so once I figured that out, I went back to school, went back to law school and got another law degree. And I just changed my area of practice, and I found health law. Really enjoyed health law, did that for 12 years. And in health law, I found intellectual property, privacy, and cybersecurity, and went back to law school and got another law degree, specialized in intellectual property and information law. And so that's why I tell people I took the scenic route to get to where I am, but I finally found what I was meant to do. And it was me actually being out there in the world and just things changing, where I learned, wow, these are different things that I can do. There are so many people that get a law degree that don't actually practice law. You don't have to practice law with a law degree. There are a lot of things that you can do. They go into business and they use the education knowledge that they gain in law school to become business, to work with business. And I'm learning that now, right? So I knew how to practice law, but I did not know how to run a business. It's a completely different thing.
I know that the people who are tuning into the series of cohort interviews that I'm doing are probably thinking, when I get ready to ask you this question, Alena keeps talking about the same thing, but it's just top of mind. So I had an interview with Derek from D2 in your cohort, and we were talking about how recently 40,000 Black women have been laid off. And with that, I was sharing with him that I attended an event or a retreat that had a ton of professional women within my sorority who I had been looking up to my entire life. And they were on these panels pretty much saying, hey, when I came out of School of Business and Industry at FAM, I went straight into corporate. I climbed the corporate ladder, and I don't really know myself outside of this identity. Right. Because with that, I then became a wife. I then became a mom. And there was really no stopping. But there was also not a ton of setbacks for some of them, right? They had never lost a job before because they were excellent at what they do. And so the conversation I was having with Derek was really around rediscovering that identity, right, after leaving a role, but also how do you retell your story? And so I would love to get your perspective on that, especially since you weren't a part of the 40,000 because you were 2024. But I could imagine after coming from a corporate environment and then now having to be your own brand with all of these things that we've spent time on, it has to be like an identity shift, if anything.
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. Even though I was not part of the 40,000, I still experienced the same thing. I took 6 months trying to figure out, what do I do now? Because all I knew, I've been working since I was 16. I wasn't working in corporate, but I've been working since I was 16. And I had been working as an attorney for over 25 years. And so it's like, this is what I know. This is what I do. While I did have outside interests, nothing amounted to career options, right? What do I do now? And it took me 6 months of trying to figure that out. And when I started my law practice, I did not have all the answers. I still don't have the answers. I have an idea of the direction I'm headed now, but I had to take that time. I really had to take that time and learn who I was. I have grown. The person that I am now is not the person I was when I graduated law school. And I think we have to really appreciate and figure out. You hear people say, oh, I got to find myself. You think of that as a joke because people say that often, but there is a lot of truth to that. You do have to figure out who you are now, especially when you spent most of your time working, raising kids, being a wife. My son is 20, he's 28 now. He's been gone for quite some time. And I had the benefit of when he left, I started focusing on my legal career more often. So there was not that shift for me then. the shift was for me was when I got laid off and trying to figure out, okay, what next?
So tell us about those 6 months. What were some of the things that you did to find yourself?
I worked out. So working out has always been, I won't say always, but probably for the last 10 years has been a passion of mine. And so that was another outlet. I think it's so important when you are working that you have those outlets, especially when your kids get older. You got to figure out what makes you happy, the things that you enjoy. And so for me, working out was one of them. During that time, I remember my trainer, I was working out with my trainer still, asking me, have you thought about becoming a trainer? And I was like, yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know if I want to do this. And I actually did. So I'm also a certified personal trainer and certified nutritionist. And so, yeah, so I have really enjoyed just helping other women. That's my passion, is really building up other women, especially women that are in corporate America, because I've been there and I know the challenges of trying to balance it all, trying to find time for yourself. But it's so important to make yourself a priority. And I say, I'm not good for anyone else if I'm not good for myself. So helping the working out really helped me to clear my mind. That was something that I just enjoyed doing. And honestly, Alena, there were days when I just didn't do anything because I was used to going. I never took time to just rest. Yeah. And I did exactly that. I rested. And when I rested, I found that my mind was a lot clearer.
That's right. Listen, I've been telling people that's the theme right now. It's just rest is resistance, right? I can't remember her name, but that's like her quote. And so as we think about even those lifestyle changes, one of the things that came up in our very first session with John Whaley during strategic planning was he really encouraged you all to start with the life that you want to live and then building your business around that, right? And so since you are in the earlier stage of scaling your business, I would love to know how that sentiment landed with you.
I will tell you, when I heard that, that was probably one of my favorite. And I can tell you all of them, I learned so much from each of the sessions. That was probably one of my favorites. And I think the reason it was is because it challenged me. That was one of the earlier sessions. That was the second time in a month that I had heard someone speak about the importance of strategic growth plans in your business. And you've heard during the cohort where so many of us talked about, we have it in our head, but we don't know what it looks like. And when I started putting pen to paper and putting in a lot of the things that he suggested, what I initially thought I was doing, it looked completely different at the end of the day, right? And so for me, I think that was the shift, because it challenged me to think about my business not from I'm a solopreneur perspective, but to really start looking at my business as a CEO, and also not just a one person business, but an actual firm. And so it helps me now to think of even though it's just me, think about building out a team. So I'm already changing my mindset. Those were some of the things that we were challenged with. But yeah, listening to him, it just really shifted my mindset. And how I think now is because of the things that I learned through the Smart CEO Accelerator.
That's amazing. I think that it was maybe you and one other person that when we first did your onboarding, you were just really honing in on, it's just me, Alena, it's just me. I was like, I know, right? And everything we were trying to translate into enterprise. And I think that, like you, I feel the same way. I'm a solo practitioner, and I've always said, I don't really want to manage teams. But as we start to think about, if we're actually in business, the whole goal is to make money, right? And you can't be a bottleneck in your business if you're going to build everything around you. We talked a lot about that. So what are some things that you think you're going to do in that enterprise model that is a little bit different than what you originally thought for your practice?
Oh, wow. So I am thinking about hiring an assistant a lot sooner than I was before, right? And because one of the things that we were challenged to do in talking about how we are bottlenecking our business, or what are some of the things that we can offload and assign to someone else. And truth be told, I am building this business so that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor. I love traveling and I want to be able to travel, and I don't want to be so tied to my desk or to my business that it just cannot operate without me. That was never my goal. I'll tell people I want to be on a boat out in the Caribbean. That's the life. That's the lifestyle that I want. And so I started documenting those processes, right? And when I do hire my assistant, I want to offload a lot of those things. I had a CRM prior to joining the Smart CEO Accelerator, but I wasn't utilizing it. And so now I am. And so I'm trying to automate as much as I can to not only free myself from a lot of these tasks, but to also give my clients an elevated experience, right? Yeah. And I want them to feel like, oh, this is a firm environment, right? This is not just one person trying to do everything and manually doing everything. No, I am trying to automate as much as I can. So I would say documenting my processes and automating a lot of the tasks and the way that my business operates have been the two main things that I have done.
That's wonderful. I'm also reminded of, as we were doing some of our sessions on government contracting and corporate contracting, I feel like I saw a lot of light bulbs. I saw light bulbs from you, the whole cohort, which I love. Thank you for your participation. Hundreds, 100 in that. I felt like you had some aha moments around how you, even as a solopreneur right now, could get in on some of these bigger opportunities. So can you talk to us about those, that kind of how that resonated with you?
Absolutely. I mentioned that I'm an Air Force veteran, right? And so I spent the first part in most of my legal career working for government agencies. And so I didn't even think about pursuing government contracts because I was so focused on, oh, I want to help small businesses. I want to help small businesses. And then just listening through the sessions, and I'm like, wait a minute, I see another opportunity here. I have the background working with government agencies, working with these suppliers, right? And a lot of the people that are in my cohort and other small businesses that are trying to get those government contracts, those are my potential clients as well, right? And so one of my aha moments was I can see myself, for one, I see a service that a lot of these organizations don't even realize that they may even have a need or that exists, but also just partnering with the prime contractors, right? And just offering my services as a subcontractor. That one, and just utilizing my background and really just helping not only the government agencies and the corporations, but also the small business owners. I've been on both sides. I've been on the inside, I've been on the outside. And so that's something that I have that is a value that I can bring to the government agencies, the small business owners, or even the corporations.
So when you are identifying your true need, because I remember in our previous conversations, you talked about a lot of the niche areas that you service. Can you just share, and this would even be helpful to someone who's listening and they're like, oh, I need to hire her. Share what you feel like the gaps are that you are really closing.
So the gap that I'm closing is, for one, targeting small business owners, right? And I've been there myself. Whenever you start a business, you start with an idea and you don't really know what you don't know. I've been the same way. And so when it comes to the legal setup, I've seen a lot of business owners that will pull contracts off of the internet, or they will use a template. And then once their business starts growing, they never go back and look at that foundation. They never go back and look at how their business is changing, how they're being strategic about their growth. They don't go back and look at their contracts to see if those contracts even still work for them. That is the gap that I am closing. In addition to that, we are seeing so many privacy laws that are popping up in every single state. The state of Texas, I'm Texas. We have a new privacy law that took effect the first part of last year. And while it may not apply to a lot of the business owners, there are privacy laws in other states where business owners, where they operate or where they have customers that are applicable to them. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And you don't have small business owners that have access to a lot of these resources or even know what to even look for or know how to go and get these resources. That is the gap that I want to close. I always talk to my clients about serving as their legal partner. I'm not a one and done stop shop. And I've spent my legal career this way, building trust with my client, helping them to see me as a legal partner and being proactive. I don't want to be reactive. I don't want my clients to be reactive. I want us to be proactive, right? And plan as much as we can for what those needs are. So for the business owner that has been operating 2 to 5 years and they're growing and they're scaling and they're seeing their profits grow and their revenue grow and their client base grow, I want to be the person that they call to help them to look at their structure, their legal foundation and make sure that it is built on solid footing so that they can grow and scale confidently and they can sleep at night. I want my clients to feel confident knowing that, okay, I feel good about where I am. I have somebody that's working with me that letting me know the things that I don't know and that are making me aware of things that I should think about in advance and helping me to plan for them so that I don't get hit with this big high value bill at the end of the day. No, we are going to strategize. We're going to look at your structure. We're going to look at what your needs are, and we're going to prioritize them so that you can be in control of all the decisions that you're making with respect to your business.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that our small businesses will benefit from. One of the things that has come up a lot when I've had conversations with your cohort members about their time with us is the value of the collaborations that you all have formed amongst each other. And I know that also in the Houston area, you all have a very tight small business community. So how has that impacted you as a business owner when it comes to relationship building? And what are some of the things that you do to cultivate that?
Oh man, it's been great. I think we probably started late in the game thinking, oh man, we need to get together and start just getting together and for one, having lunch together and just enjoying each other, getting to know each other because we've all been virtual. We have not met in person yet, but also watching some of our sessions together. I think my favorite part was the reciprocity circle. And I will tell you, I would have loved for that to be at the beginning because I think that would have been a great thing for us to start that at the beginning. I am doing more now with respect to that and helping my cohorts to succeed. One of the things that I realized is that we are all so very talented, and there were so many resources within our cohort. And another one of my favorite areas were the breakout sessions, where we would talk about a problem that we were experiencing and we would brainstorm together. And I got so many wonderful ideas from some of my cohort members. And I'm actually meeting with them. I have a meeting this afternoon with one of my cohort members where we are helping each other. I've been able to provide them with legal support. They've been able to provide me with support with my branding, my marketing, with thought leadership. And so it's important for me to continue to nurture those relationships. As I mentioned, I'm not a one and done type person. Long-term relationships are always my goal. And so I'm looking forward to continuing those relationships, even with my cohort members that do not live here, but just kind of keeping those contacts and following their success and finding out how can I help you to be greater than you already are.
That's good. So what are some of the networking tips or relationship building tips you can give for in real life, right? Because I feel like so many people have been virtual, and even people who have been in business for 10 plus years are constantly telling me in their coaching sessions, I just don't know how to meet the next person for the right opportunity, right? And it's,
Yeah.
oh, you might have to get from behind your computer. So what has that looked like for you?
I will tell you, I believe in going where your potential clients are. And one of the things that I learned from John Whalen, and when we talked about the growth strategy, I remember him saying, talking about the wealthy people and some of the potential clients, they're not coming looking for you. You got to go and find them, and you have to lead with how you can help them, but don't make it about business, right? It's really truly about listening to what their needs are. Their need may not have anything to do with your business, but showing them how you can be of value to them and not just be selling to them. So I say all that to say that building genuine, authentic relationships is so key, but you got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there. It's easy for me because I'm a social introvert, but I love people. I love talking, and I'm not a shy person. So I don't have a problem with going and meeting people and just finding out about them. People like to talk about themselves. And that's a great way to get people comfortable. Ask them about themselves, ask them about what they do, find something that you have in common and build that relationship with them. But it has to be genuine, it has to be authentic, and nobody wants to be sold on anything. And I think once you build that relationship with them, there's going to be opportunities for you to talk about what you can offer. Or even when they're talking about themselves, listen. Don't just talk and don't just ask them, but listen to what they're saying and start thinking about how you can help them without expecting something in return. It's going to come. It'll come back to you. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, that's great. And you actually went exactly where I was going in my mind when I was thinking about the advice that John gave us. So that's awesome. So if someone is thinking about applying for our next cohort, what would you say to them?
Absolutely do it without hesitation. I think this is the first type of cohort like this that I've been in. And I think when I first approached it, especially with it being virtual and we're all so busy, you think, oh, I'll be able to multitask. Absolutely not. I was engaged and focused and chimed. I did not want to miss anything with respect to this cohort. And I was trying to keep up with the chat and type in, and my cohort members are typing faster than I am. But I love that it was so engaging, and the presenters that you had were very engaging. It was just like sitting down talking with a friend or a group of people just talking together. It was not the classroom type of, I'm just going to sit there and listen while someone else talks. I have got something from every single session that we have had that I have in turn implemented within my business. And I mentioned to you, I just changed my mindset. I am always thinking CEO, 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 not just attorney. I've had to change my speech. I no longer talk about I talk about we.
That's good. That's going to be a good soundbite, Renee. I think that's amazing. And I'm excited that in my initial conversation with John, as I shared with you all, that was the moment that I realized that we needed to bring in that smart CEO mindset part of the program, right? Because I said in our prep session, John, is there anything else that you feel like we need to include as we kick off? And he was like, Alena, I honestly feel like we can give them all the strategy, all the template, but if they can't go from being the star player to the coach, they will never, none of this will matter, right? Because you have to have that mindset. And I think that drove the entire conversation. And I definitely saw that shift in you and your other cohort members. So I just want to thank you for actively participating, for giving back to small businesses through your gifts, and for joining me on the show. So I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to even being able to give back to future cohorts. So I've gotten so much out of it. And I really love that the presenters have come back and given to the cohort members. And I love what the Smart CEO Accelerating the Chiro Company are doing for business owners. And so for sure, if you have the opportunity, and I will be telling people, when I join, I talk about this program all the time. Like if you are a business owner, you have got to participate in the program. So I will definitely continue to share that because I think there's just so much value here and a lot of people just don't even know about it. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Of course. And for those of you all who are listening, if you're interested in learning more about our program offerings, you can visit tkcsmartceos.com to learn more. And we will see you all on the other side. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Chiro Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.